Hello everybody, welcome to worship. I think this is worship number 4 of worships at home at Miss Laura's house and at your house. I want to say hi to my students personally. I want to say hi to James, hi Elise, hi Maya, hi Sonia, hi Christian, hi Christopher, hi Mo, hi Nico. I hope that's everyone in my class. If I've forgotten someone, I'm sorry, but I wanted to say hi to all my kids and give you my love. Well, today we're going to start out by singing a song to the Lord that is a simple little one about God lifting us up to heaven. So, here's Andrew. I think he might want to be part of this video. So, maybe he'll just settle in and I can use my hands for the motions. No, he says no. All right. Father, lift me up. Father, lift me up. Hallelujah. Holy is your name. Father, lift me up. Hallelujah. Holy is your name. So here we are with our lit candle to remind us that the Lord is with us with his love. We're inviting him specially to be with us right now, the open word. And it's time for me to say what's called the invitation to prayer. The Lord is in his holy temple. Let all the earth keep silence before him. Let us pray. And today I think it would be nice to do our prayer with the motions that we know so well, that we've learned during the year. So we start out with Our Father, who art in the heavens. Our Father, who art in the heavens, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, as in heaven, so upon the earth. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we also forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. O Lord, forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Amen. Okay, well here's my copy of the Word, and I hope we can all remember what we read about last time. It was about poor Peter, the Lord's disciple, and how he made a big mistake, a big boo-boo. It was something he had promised he would not do, but just as the Lord had said it was going to happen, it did. He made this big mistake. 3 times he told people, I do not know the man. I don't know Jesus. I'm not his friend. I don't have anything to do with him, because Peter was scared. He had been brave enough to go see what was happening with Jesus after the soldiers arrested him and took him away, but he wasn't brave enough to lift up his head and say, I am a friend of Jesus, because he thought if Jesus is in big trouble and they find out I'm his friend, I'll be in big trouble too. In fact, they might come arrest me also. So he kind of hung back, waiting to see what would happen with Jesus inside the house of Caiaphas, where Jesus was. But he couldn't bring himself to actually say, I'm a friend of Jesus, and I'm proud to be a friend of Jesus. He was scared. Remember, 3 different times servants came to him in the yard outside the house and said, well, we know you were one of Jesus' disciples. And he kept saying, no, no. And at the end, he was actually saying it with swear words. He was being pretty naughty. And then, just then, as he said it the 3rd time, what did he hear? Peter heard, cock-a-doodle-doo. And that was the rooster saying, morning is coming, morning is coming. The night was over. And remember, Jesus had promised, he had said 3 times, before the rooster says cock-a-doodle-doo, at the end of this night, you will have denied me 3 times. And sadly, it was true. And Peter remembered just as the rooster was crowing. And the word says, he wept bitterly. He cried so hard to realize what he had done against his Lord and his Master. He had told a lie. and he hadn't stood up for him. Well, today's story is just as icky in its own way and sad. It's what's happening to Jesus inside the house while Peter is outside the house. This is the story of Jesus on trial before Caiaphas the high priest. Now let's remember for just a minute why Jesus is letting this happen. Couldn't he have stopped it? Couldn't he have made all these terrible things not happen? Yes, he could have, couldn't he? He had the power. He has all power in heaven and earth because he's God. But he's choosing to let these things happen one by one. First of all, they've been promised that they would need to happen all the way back, all the way through the Word. For hundreds of years, people would read these things. They were called prophecies, and they knew that it was coming. It was going to happen to someone. Jesus knew too, from having read those things, and also just from being who he was. He had to go through it, because who was he fighting against when he lets these terrible things happen? He's fighting against the worst evil spirits. They're the ones who really are trying to get him to stop now. They're saying, you don't have to do this. This is too horrible for you. You don't have to go through all these painful, dreadful things. You can't save the world from us. There's no use even trying. Just give up. Save yourself. Give up. It doesn't matter. And of course, it mattered very much. And he kept fighting. He kept fighting and saying, no, I'm going to keep going. No, I'm going to keep going. And this is what he has to go through in today's story. And reminding us, the word said, and those who had laid hold of Jesus, those are the soldiers, they led him away to Caiaphas the high priest, where the scribes and the elders were assembled. These are all those scribes and Pharisees that hate Jesus. They're in Caiaphas' house, and they're about to work together to figure out what can we tell the Romans. Because the Romans are the ones who are allowed to say if someone lives or dies. If we can tell the Romans something bad enough, maybe we can get them to kill this Jesus. Because we don't like him. The people listen to him. They don't listen to us anymore. So Peter's outside and Jesus is inside. And this is what is happening. Now, the chief priests, the elders, and the scribes and Pharisees all sought, that means they looked for, a false lie against Jesus so that he could be put to death. But they found no one. The rule was that if you were going to say something big enough to the Romans to get someone killed, there had to be two people who said the same thing, and they couldn't come into the room at the same time and say, oh, we think he did this, and we think he did this. It would have to be one person would come in and say, I think he told a big lie, and then he'd leave the room, and the other person would come in and say, I think he told a big lie, or did something terrible. And those two people had to agree, and they had to come in separately, independently, and say these things. And the scribes and Pharisees couldn't find two people who said the same thing. Of course, Jesus had not done anything wrong to begin with, so the things they were saying didn't make much sense. But finally, the scribes and Pharisees gave up. They said, okay, we're just going to let people tell lies now, and we're going to let two people come into the room at the same time and say the same thing, because we really want Jesus to die. So, even though many false witnesses came forward, many liars came forward, they found none who agreed, but at last two false witnesses, two liars, came forward and said, this fellow, this Jesus said, I am able to destroy the temple, the church of God, and to build it again in only 3 days. Now, here's what you need to know. Jesus had said that. That was not a lie. That was true, that Jesus had said, I can destroy, that means ruin or knock down, the church of God here in Jerusalem and build it up again in 3 days. And people who didn't understand that said, what? You can't build a temple in 3 days? It took hundreds of years for this temple to be built. And this guy is such a crazy guy to think he could build it in 3 days. But we know how Jesus works, right? Was he telling a story that had an inside meaning? Yes, it was almost like one of his parables. What he meant was, when I die, That's the temple of my body. When I die, I can raise it up again into life after 3 days. I can come back to life after 3 days. So what he said was true. He had said that he could die and come back to life in 3 days. But most people didn't understand that. What? Caiaphas, the high priest, got up and said to him, do you answer nothing? What is it that these men testify against you? Don't you want to say anything against what these people say? Now, Jesus could have spoken up to defend himself, but he said nothing because he wants this to keep going forward. Well, in a way he does. He doesn't, and he does. He knows it needs to. So he says nothing to defend himself, but Jesus kept silent. And the high priest said, I adjure you, that means I command you by the living God, that you tell us if you are Christ, the Son of God. Now, this is the one time when Jesus says something to him, because he knows this will get him in more trouble. It's true, but he knows. Caiaphas has just asked him, I command you, I tell you, are you the Son of God? And Jesus said, yes, it is, as you said. I am the Son of God. Now, he knows this is going to make everyone crazy mad, because they don't want to consider him the Son of God. If they're going to kill him, do they want to be killing the Son of God? No. So he said that to make them mad. It's also true. He's the Son of God. And the high priest Caiaphas tore his clothes. That means this was a way back then that people had of showing they were really angry. They would take their clothes and just rip them and tear them. He has spoken blasphemy. That means he's spoken the biggest lie you can ever speak against God. What further need do we have of witnesses? Look, what do you think? And everyone answered and said, he deserves to die. This is what they've been wanting all along. They finally found something they can tell the Romans. He claims to be God. Big lie. Well, we know it's not, but they think it is. Big lie. We can get him killed now. Oh, here's my kitty Mitzi. Mitzi? All right at this important moment. You haven't seen Mitzi yet, have you? That's a good girl. Mitzi. Mitzi, honey. Oh, brother. Baby. Come sit with Mama, okay? Let me finish the story. No, she's going to get down. All right. That was a big, important moment. Well, back to Jesus in front of the scribes and Pharisees. The word says, then they spat in his face. This is to show how much they hate him. Tuh. And they beat him and struck him with the palms of their hands. And then they're getting ready to take him off to the Romans, now that it's morning. And we know what the Romans are going to want to do to him if they tell him that Jesus claims to be the Son of God. They're going to think he should die. So the next step has been taken. Jesus is one step closer to dying on the cross, which he doesn't want to do, but he knows he has to. And we know that outside the house in the courtyard, Peter has just said 3 times, I do not know him. Oh, such sad stories. Sad, sad, sad. Mitzi, honey, can you just lie down? Good girl. All right. Goodness, kitties. So, I guess the kitties are helping us feel a little happier as we're reading these sad, hard stories. I would like to sing, to end our worship service, A Man Had 100 Sheep, because that's a happy song, and it's about how the Lord loves us and takes care of us. So if you get out your little sheep, let's make the little sheep dance on our hands, and we'll sing to the Lord. A man had 100 sheep, but one of them was lost. So he left the 99 to look for his little lost lamb. And he found it, and he found it, and he laid it on his shoulder. He was happy, so he called his friends and neighbors, come, be happy with me, for I found my little lost lamb. All right, well, next Next time, more hard stories about Jesus, but we know he's going to be okay in the end because he will die and come back to life and be the God of heaven and earth.